All right, it's 12:40 a.m., March 27th. Aaron Parnas, Pete Hegseth's pastor and spiritual advisor, says he wants James Tallarico to die. It's just a bit of news, all right, regarding life when the tables have been flipped, as my son would say. My son Isaac, your dad, Arden. And I finished writing you in this book, Arden, and it's called Bloom Into Yourself. That's the cover. I was kind of inspired when I seen this one, you know. Has flowers on it and stuff, and I thought, yeah, I gotta write something in that book for you. But you know, I finished writing it now, and it's really more about blooming into yourself. It's really about blooming into something greater than yourself. All right? Blooming into something greater than yourself, the beyond. Blooming into the beyond. And I just kind of come full cycle, you know, after writing this and then reassessing and analyzing kind of in my mind, because I started this on March 23rd, 2026, and now it's Friday, March 27th. I finished it before last night. Before last night ended. But I laid down, and then I was listening to, as I was kind of trying to sleep, I was listening to NBC nightly news, and they had a lady, a famous lady, interviewing Savannah Guthrie, whose mom, Nancy Guthrie, was abducted. And she said some things in her interview that really came to bear in my heart and mind on some of the stuff that I had said, that I am saying to you, Arden. And I'm thinking Amber, and I'm thinking Adam, and I'm thinking Isaac, and I'm thinking Bryson, Adelaide, Liam, William, and I think she has 2 more kids, which I don't really know their names, but you know, I'm not following like I'm not investigating, okay? Like I just believe in personal kind of communication. And so if I don't have it, I'm content with that. But Savannah Guthrie said one thing, okay? She said she's only felt like God has spoken to her a couple times in her life. And as she was leaving where her mom lived in the desert of Arizona, and she's thinking, where are you, Mom? And how could she leave? She felt like God spoke to her and said, you know where she is. She's with me. She still wants and wanted answers. But she said that the love of God was equivalent to her pain. And she talked about her mom's faith and how her mom suffered grief, and she watched her mom, and her dad died when she was 16 and he was only 49, and she had to start over and start a new life and everything, and plus take care of kids, you know, and her brother who had Down syndrome, and a lot of stuff like that. In the interview, I'm sure it would still be available. Really is like a quintessential representation of the kind of spirituality and knowing and the kind of communication that we have with God, which AI does not have. And we're not going to ever get it through AI. And my son Isaac wrote a lot about that subject, and as part of the reason, after my replies to him, I'm writing this to you, okay? Because after I finished my last one of like 8 volumes to your dad, I turned my attention to you. And then by way of secondary communication, you know, to your dad and mom as well. So I'm gonna read this, and since it is a big book, I might stop halfway through and then start again. It just depends how I feel as I go, but you know, and this follows also me having to put Sally down. So I put a picture of that I made, that flat, me and Sally. Okay. There, and at first I didn't write on both sides of the page because I don't normally do that, but I seen this notebook has dates on both sides and the paper is kind of thicker, and so I did start eventually. But dear Arden, and I also just gotta say that I'm writing to you, Arden, as both a little girl and as an adult. Okay, so so you understand. Can I get my glasses just so I can read better? And this one has a string around it. Dear Arden, I'm going to CC, that means send a copy to, your mom and dad too, because I am also telling them what I think and telling you at the same time. But I can only write one letter at a time, so I feel in such predicaments a man has to decide what he is going to do. If a man can only write one letter at a time, who is he going to write the first one to? Or maybe, since this is a different kind of notebook, which is sort of a special kind of notebook because every page has a date template at the top, that means so I can write it like a daily shorter letter. I write because I don't want to forget to tell you because I don't want to forget to tell you something. Anyway, you can see I have to write my first letter to you. I have to write my first letter to you. To you, the first letter. On top of that, look, I just decided to write on the very top line. I know my writing is bad sometimes, but I am getting better at it. And I try to write with a good pen, Now I am using a new pen, and I have to get used to it. On top of that, this book even has a yellow strap to like hold it shut or mark where you are. That's why I decided after negotiations I had to make to figure everything out, like how I was going to do this. I thought the proper thing, all things considered, for me to do, and the best thing for me to do, and then in parenthesis, is to change this pen right now because it's too slippery and rolly or something. Anyway, I can do better, on parenthesis. Okay, I don't like this one either. I tried another pen. Those two boys, oh, okay. That's your great-grandma Sharon's house that me and my brother and her built. Those two boys are my brother Scott's kids when they were little. Me and my brother Scott and my mom built that house out of logs. And my mom built that fireplace all by herself. The Riverstones did come crashing down once before dry, but she fixed it. And that was on the fireplace. Okay. I believe mouse used to this style of pen. I believe Mo's used to this style of pen. I'm not sure what I said there, but something about, okay, I believe it should say I am more used to this style of pen. I switched pens again. And that's just a regular cheap pen because I bought a whole pack of them. Well, I had one and it ran out. And so I bought a pack of these kind for $1.50. And all these pens and the other pens that I didn't like, they cost about $1.50 per pen. So, I believe I am more used to this style of pen. I believe this pen is the kind my mom used, and she wrote good. She wrote in a book every time she wanted to, but most of the time she did it at night. She kept it under a coffee table where her light was for reading and writing because she read stuff to me and my brother, and we could read at the kitchen table too, but her table was at the couch, and she kept her notebook with other books like a dictionary and reading books. Like when we were little, that's the table she kept storybooks on that she read to us, and a Bible with pictures in it. And I am concentrating on my writing, and I still believe I can get better because my mom didn't spell all her words right because she sounded them out, and I forgot to put the word she in, but she sounded them out and wrote them, but she got better. And since she could write letters real well, you know, like A, B, and C and stuff, letters like that, letters real well, because she could write letters real well, because she could write like in her book, and you could read what she wrote. But I never read it. I didn't read what she wrote and stuff. But she got better, and since she could write letters real well, she even earned her nursing license. So she didn't even graduate from high school, okay? And then she had to get her GED to go to school to become a licensed practical nurse, and so did my grandma, and they both got their GED together and their nursing degrees together. And my grandma was like 60. She even earned her nursing license. That is only one step below a registered nurse. Even though I had a college degree, but there was a waiting line to get it. Even though I had a college degree, but there was a waiting line to get in. Wait a minute. I skipped a page. Okay. Okay, that is only one step below registered nurse. Like in the military, you have two ranks. One, the enlisted rank. Two, the officer rank. I worked as a personnel officer for enlisted men. I was a personnelman in the personnel office for enlisted men. Sorry, I had to correct that. The same job in the officers department, or the other rank, was called the yeoman's office. I worked as a yeoman when I was in boot camp for 7 of or 8 or maybe 6 of the weeks. Oh wait, T. You go. I was a yeoman. I had like the equivalent job of a yeoman, except I was in enlisted office. But in boot camp, I worked as they called it a yeoman, and I did it for 6 or 7 weeks out of the 8. I'm just adding lib here. Out of 8. I can't exactly remember, but in boot camp, at least when I was in, they always try to figure out a way to torture you, and they always have an officer in complete charge, and the enlisted people like me did their work primarily under the commander in charge. So in the military, it's called chain of command, and you or we have and had 2 chains, one for officers, people who had a college degree before entering or enlisting in the Navy. That was one of them. I went in enlisted, even though I had a college degree, but there was a waiting line to get in, and I had to get in quick to get medical coverage or insurance. So the doctor would deliver your Aunt Amber. Because I got hit by a forklift, the company forgot to put oil in the hydraulic brakes. The forklift operator didn't check it either. And as I was building a desk for a mobile classroom, like we built and furnished them in halves and put them on semi-truck beds and delivered them. But this guy whipped it around backwards, and the back end of it smashed me and this desk into a pile of wood. I broke my pelvis. The doctor said I couldn't work for 3 months. And so I used that time to do a little subcontract work and look for a new job. I didn't want to go back there anymore. I got one, but the insurance lady said the insurance company would not cover new conditions. I mean, pre-existent ones. So your Aunt Amber's mom, Adrian, got too scared to use a midwife that I could have enough money for, but she was pregnant, and without insurance, we couldn't afford a hospital and professional doctors. So even though my dad told me not to join, I joined the Navy anyway, and I had to get in quick. That was a big parenthetical statement, okay, because I did put something in parentheses. All right. Anyway, I said all that to say about, the 2 chains of authority, etc. It is the same in nursing. Being a nurse is either licensed or registered. That's just like being in the military. You're an officer or you're an enlisted man. And they have 2 separate chains of command, but the officers are in full charge. So, that's what it's like in nursing too. You have RNs and LPNs, okay? All right. See, sometimes it's the same in government licensed work as it is in the military. The big difference is that when you join the military, all of theirs or something, but all of them, like Army, Marines, Air Force, Navy, and now they even have space. I was also saying about my mom, your great grandma Sharon, and I gave you a picture of her. She had a hard time growing up from the poor. Her dad Charlie turned into an alcoholic and was drunk most of the time. So her mom got divorced and married a new man who had 4 boys. Well, not really, because he was the child of the man. Okay, I missed something there, but my Uncle Buzz, or my Uncle Dave, we called him Buzz, he was actually the child of her new husband. But they didn't get married till after he was born. But she just got pregnant with him before she was married. His name was Dave Glover at birth. Look, that may sound like real primitive nature, but you gotta always remember these were the early days. People were struggling, and sometimes when people struggle real hard together, they fall in love and do stuff together. So they get married, but sometimes you know, like if you were them, you just had to follow your heart and your mind and make things happen, always believing you can make it better. My mom, Grandma Sharon, didn't get a college, and I forgot the word degree, but I got 4 of them. I got 4 of them, college degrees. And even took college classes in the Navy to better myself. It was free, but you didn't have to do it. I did it though because I believe for good reason in the principle of making it better, quote unquote. I grew up like that. Everybody I knew close to me, like my whole family and friends, everybody was always trying to make it better. Nobody is perfect. So that's one of those things people call self-evident, quote unquote. They even use that word in the Declaration of Independence. And that came from Benjamin Franklin, a really great man who is famous because he was a writer, philosopher, inventor, scientist. Like he kind of discovered static electricity with a flying kite. Some people want to make things better. Some people, I guess, have less energy for it. But I think that's because they always have had people do things for them. I never even wanted anyone to do anything for me. That's probably why, I don't let bullies push me around, because I already fixed stuff myself, because my mom couldn't pay to get it fixed. And people have to get better jobs and make more money, especially if you keep running out. For me, going into the military was my only answer, and I always wanted to see what boot camp was really like anyway, because I was told stories, and the recruiter told me about they pay for everything: school, insurance, housing, medical care, and I could get a house with a job and no money down, because the U.S. government guaranteed payments for my loans somehow. But that's how I got my first house. But you have to sign a paper and take an oath swearing that you belong to the military 24/7. That means 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. 24 hours a day. All of it 7 days a week. All of it every day until your contract is over. So they start by torturing you with everything they can in every way they can, and they give you hard work that makes you suffer. But I ain't got time to tell you about all that now, because I got to finish telling you that another part of the reason I have to address like letter to you is because you're going to live the longest. Okay, this is why I'm writing to you, Arden, because you're going to be living the longest, all right? And I just feel like I need to be writing this letter to you anyway. And I know you can do it because I did, and my family did, because that's how I learned it. I watched everybody else, and I also tried to make things better, a lot. So the other thing about making things better is that you have to try hard. That means keep working at something until you get it right. Like my grandma Robbins told me, if at first you don't succeed, try again. And that also means like my mom and my dad too, but I only stayed with him in summers. I probably should have said, and that also means like my mom and my dad did too, but I only stayed with my dad in summers. But all my aunts and uncles to everybody worked hard and did all they could because we had more challenges than people who could have other people do things for them. Now I'm really getting to the real reason I wanted to tell you something. And even though I started really thinking about it because your dad wrote a completely terrifying report on the horrors facing young human beings, and even more so right now, and I should have said, and also adults, I guess, and even more so now, adult human beings, because AI superintelligence is trying to be in control. Well, people are using it now for everything, and in the process losing what you call agency, quote unquote. That means like being an agent. You could even be your own secret agent woman. People do this. It's fun. Hey, that reminds me. Bob Dylan song. It just popped in my brain. I gotta write it. It's called Trust Yourself. Trust yourself. Also, I just noticed I think I can and actually am supposed to write on both sides of the page in this book. So I'm going to do that because I was writing only on one side. Now I decided to write it on both sides. Now, this is Trust Yourself by Bob Dylan, a.k.a. Richard Zimmerman, but he changed his name. Trust yourself. Trust yourself to do the things only you know best. Trust yourself. Trust yourself to do what's right and not be second-guessed. Trust yourself. Continued. Don't trust me to show you beauty when beauty may only turn to rust. If you need somebody you can trust, trust yourself. Trust yourself. Trust yourself to know the way that will prove true in the end. Trust yourself. Trust yourself to find the path where there is no if and when. Don't trust me to show you truth when truth may only be ashes and dust. If you want somebody you can trust, trust yourself. Well, you're on your own. You always were, in a land of wolves and thieves. Don't put your hope in ungodly man or be a slave to what somebody else believes. Trust yourself, and you won't be disappointed when vain people let you down. Trust yourself, and look not for answers where no answers can be found. If you want somebody you can trust, trust yourself. Dear Artie, or my sweet dear Bomba Rose, because that could be your secret agent name, Bomba Rose. But I heard your mom call you Artie. People got to go undercover. That's one of the laws of Sun Tzu in The Art of War. And that really means warrior. Okay? The Art of War really teaches how to be a warrior. Means warrior. Even a scientist can be a warrior. Even warriors have to try and make things better. Sun Tzu was the best warrior in the world. He knew a lot. He knew all the best ways in bloody wars, but everyone uses his principles and disciplines in their own way, in their own profession. And he said you got to have your own secret agent department. You can't count on anyone to have your back more than you when you are your own secret agent. So look, I gave you a good code name, Bomba Rose, to remind you about these things. And like I said, your dad reminded me about some things I want to tell you when he wrote an alarm about what artificial superintelligence with virtual realities everywhere. And it's very scary for me to think about how automation and superintelligence / intelligent machines start doing things people used to do for themselves. Then they quit trying hard and fixing things and making things better, figuring stuff out for yourself. That's like being your own secret agent or secret agent woman, and that also, and that's also what you call your own quote-unquote agency. We have to investigate things and figure out how they operate. But now it's getting really important to address, like your dad did, because it's like when superintelligent assistance takes over, people will forget what it's really like to be human. Look, Bomba Rose, I don't say this lightly, okay? I know what this could do to people, and I definitely want you to be able to tell what is real. And that's another thing Savannah Guthrie was talking about. Her mom and what's real. And I think I also already said, about what was real in her heart when she felt like God spoke to her. And what is human, and what is not, and what is not. When something is not real, they call that artificial, and people try to control people. For some reason, they do. But we have to tell artificial intelligence, you are not the boss of me. But, like, what would happen if artificial intelligence was your boss? So, I gotta tell you really what it's like to be a human being. And not a human being, spelled B-E-A-N. A human being is B-E-I-N-G. Be-ing. Not being. No. See, being is who you are, really. Artificial intelligence is really like a bean, B-E-A-N. A human being is a lot different than a regular old bean from the garden. See, this is why I am afraid for you and must tell you this to prepare you for a secret operation. Because if artificial superintelligence takes over people's agency, and your boss is nothing more than a bean, not even real, people might start thinking like a bean, B-E-A-N, is better than them. They can't even be in charge of our better than being. They can't even be in charge of our better than a being. Yeah, not sure what I was saying there, but see, people could use AI, artificial intelligence, parentheses, artificial intelligence, AI. And even they make video virtual realities that aren't even real. And then people could kind of turn into beans, B-E-A-N-S, in a way. So this stuff doesn't catch you off guard and turn you into a bean, B-E-A-N. I'm going to bring to your attention things that are self-evident and real, and what it means to be a human being. And I real human being, not artificial or fake like a bean, B-E-A-N. Well, a bean is not fake. It's just a different kind. Beans are real, but different kind of real. So, I think in my long letter to you, I should tell you how to keep it real, quote unquote, and not turn into a bean, or a beanie, or a beanie, or a beanie, or beanie, because I'm not sure how to spell that word beanie. I said beanie or beanie. It's two different ways of spelling. I'm not sure, one of those kind of people who I'm sure some will get tricked, okay? But not you. Okay, some people will get tricked by this stuff, but I don't think you're going to. I was just thinking, secret agents always have secret weapons to protect them. So I'm going to give you some secret weapons too. I'm breaking for now, but before I do, I gotta tell you right now, in 2026, I'm breaking for now. Okay, I am gonna break for now. Actually, this one, because I only read this many pages, and I got that many more to go. I gotta take a break. But before I do, I gotta tell you right now, in 2026, society calls it AI superintelligence, but people could make their god out of it. It's very common. People have all kinds of different gods. They even make statues and pictures and give names to them and make them their gods. If AI superintelligence starts telling us what to do, people will call it a name, or it could have many different names. It's like they do with idols and stuff. That is, like religions all have different names for the human God, at least what that word stands for. What God means, and perhaps kinda what God is, at least to living creatures. I never heard anybody say a bean, B-E-A-N, was God to them, but I heard people say a rock was, or a statue, and people used to worship the sun too. The sun in the sky, you know. AI is like the first bean god, B-E-A-N god. They also make coffee out of beans, and some people can't live without coffee. Coffee pots are everywhere. Bomba, it's like this with people, okay? Sometimes, quote unquote, God, or even just the idea of God for people is not enough. They need coffee too. And it's just a bean, B-E-A-N. So, we must tell the difference between a human and a bean, and God and a bean. Now I break. And I am going to break, okay? I'll read this one next.